Anybody else?
A question for Mike. What is the publishing industry doing to capitalize or monetize on the value of web metrics and place the fact that like recorded music is essentially free?
We only have 2 hours today.
It's a good question.
It's a great question.
1,000-foot view.
First of all, this is my opinion, not my company's opinion. I don't even know my company's
industry as a whole, what's future? Past is past, future.
Personally, I think the future is. I think the value of recorded music, which has become minimized and is now tertiary, is going to stay there forever, until and unless we monetize it at the ISP.
Well, I work for the ISP, so.
Which one?
Atria Networks.
Then you owe me money. You're selling people access. You're selling people access to my music, and you're collecting that.
I'm also a musician, by the way, so don't hate.
You owe yourself money.
Well, fair enough. But you can keep suing people, but that's not going to get anywhere. I'm just talking about the reality, not what you want. But I'm just saying. My question is that last Canadian Music Week, we sat with a bunch of publishers, and they talked about how difficult it was to squeeze value out of a 99-cent. As opposed to, you know, the $15 it used to be.
Right.
And they sat behind this Rogers banner that was sponsoring it, that was offering download services for a certain amount of money per month. And not anybody in the panel could tell me about the relationship between publishers and the telecom companies. So my question is that, you know, the future is the future. Right. Whether or not, you know, I believe in music, I love music, I live for music, but the value, monetized value of music, anybody here can get whatever they want for free, and
right.
The reality is that it's about ease. It's not about value. I mean, it's easier for somebody to download something for free than it is to get up and go to the store to buy it.
I agree.
So in the publishing business, what are you doing to compensate for that reality as opposed to fight it?
Well,
that's one of my questions.
Okay, the publishing. First of all, the reaction to the internet, say from Napster on, by the mainstream music industry. And I put publishers in that group, but I would say that it's far more in the hands of the record companies than the publishers, has been one of the greatest failures of leadership in modern business history. And I think the publishing community has been a little bit different. I mean, there are certainly people who are Luddites and, you know, and think they can put the horses back at the barn, but basically our business is only intellectual property in the first place, so we weren't in the plastic business. So, and we don't think we're in the plastic business, and we don't want to try and recapture the plastic business. We don't want to try and control the dissemination of music. We just want to get fucking paid for it.
Well, fair enough, but there is value in the metrics. It's just it hasn't been determined what that value is. Isn't that your responsibility as an advocate for the value of music to determine what that value is and really reinvent yourselves with a more modern approach as opposed to keep, you know, looking back at the past?
So I totally agree. But here's the thing: which metrics you talking about? Traffic, bandwidth? You talking about traffic? Or?
I mean, every industry is determining their own metrics, right? You sit and you watch what the traffic is, and then you figure out the value after the fact, right? You say all these people are going here; they're going here at this time.
But there's no law that compels those people creating the value from the traffic of our songs to pay us. Without a law to compel them, they're not going to pay us.
Well, you can't rely on the government to create the value for your product.
No, we've created the value.
The monetized value. The value exists because there's more music being consumed and created.
What's your idea then?
I don't have one. I'm asking you. That's why I'm here.
My idea is that I want to get a new law that says that anybody who makes money from the trafficking of unauthorized copies of music should pay some of that money to the owners of the music. That's what I want.
Fair enough. I mean, we can. That's a whole other conversation. We can talk about it afterwards. But I guess my question is there a standard vision? Is there a plan for the publishing industry as a whole going forward?
No, but it's like any industry that's somewhat fragmented. I would say the publishing industry is less fragmented than the record industry. The entire music industry is very fragmented because you got to think it's a new paradigm. And there are so many people, and it's a generational thing too, right? There's the old generation still in charge of the music industry. Most of the old generation thinks that you can still dream every night of putting the horses back in the barn. They still do. Almost everything they do is putting them. I would say the most progressive thing that I've seen lately, ironically, is Universal's deal with YouTube that they just announced a couple of days ago.
For anybody here who may want to check it out online, there was a great thing that, if anybody's a big Frank Zappa fan, which I am, in 1982, Frank Zappa actually put out an idea, because one of the big concerns was about taping records.
Right.
And his model in 1982 was, you know, we need to create a way where the audiophile is always going to pay more for the better quality song, and give them a place to do it. So if anybody's thinking about the future and about what to do, I suggest, and this is weird, go back on the internet, look at what Frank Zappa said in 1982. Right now is the most clear plan for the future that anybody in the music industry so far that I've heard has put forward.
I disagree completely. I don't think the public generally cares a shit about fidelity of video or audio. Below a certain level, and beyond that, it's mostly convenience. Look at the YouTube videos, listen to the streaming on the web, listen to MP3s. I think that audiophiles do, but audiophiles are a real niche.
Yeah, I'll let them go.
They're a real niche.
No, I agree. I'm not.
Yeah, but you know, getting back to your question, I mean, look at what Universal's doing with YouTube, which is that Universal's trying to recapture the traffic associated with their videos, and bring that into a forum where they can monetize that traffic, and they're doing it in partnership with YouTube. Because guess what, guys? One of the dirtiest secrets in the world: YouTube loses hundreds of millions of dollars a year. YouTube is an unsustainable business at this point.
Google is not.
Google is not, but Google might have to, you know, it's going to have to subsidize them to $500 million a year for the next few years, you know. But sorry, go ahead.
We're out of time. Question for Simon, because you asked the question. I think Mike dodged it. So I'm going to ask you. I'm 17 years old. I'm living in a cockroach-infested apartment.
Yeah.
I've got something I need to say.
Yeah.
And all I have is a little 4-track, and you said it took 10 years. So somewhere between that 4-track and the cockroaches and a discussion you had in a gymnasium. With,
and all my little packages.
Zach Warner. So
out.
fill in the gap for us between the cockroaches and the gymnasium, if you could. Just tell us a story.
Oh God.
That's the name of her life story, from the cockroaches to
to the gymnasium. It's complex, and it's a sort of a strange web of sort of just grabbing a hold anywhere that I could. But I guess eventually I made an indie record, and I sent out packages to everyone whose name I could get, because I got one of those books, but I got it used, one of those A&R guides. I got it used from somebody I knew who had an old one from it must have been 5 years old, but I just hoped that the same people were still around, so I sent them all packages, and I made all the artwork, and it was cassette tapes at the time, so I color copied my ID and inserted it into the cassette tapes, which was probably foolish in the world of identity theft. But I was mailed them out, made this record, tried to tour the record, got on stage, played shows, played at coffee houses, worked odd jobs, just tried in every way to get somebody's attention, and just worked and worked and worked at it until somebody paid attention.